It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this pleasant function organized this morning to herald a new beginning in the 5-decade-long history of the Sabha's community health care programs with a limited foray in medical education in one of the specialities, the verticals that the Sabha is espousing through the inauguration of the Shanmukhananda RBL Dialysis Technician Training School. This small beginning, nascent as it is to begin with, sees the light of the day thanks to the generous contribution of RBL Bank through its CSR funds for the sustenance and growth of this school over time. On the 6th of November this year, 2026, the Sabha will be entering a new milestone in its institutional journey, the 75th year, the Amrita Mahotsav, the Amrita Varshini of its services to humankind. Over these 7.5 decades of passage of time through which the institution has evolved, the founding fathers of this institution had firmly believed that community health care is integral to the promotion of fine arts. A healthy mind in a healthy body. Unless the body is free from afflictions of pain coming from diseases, the mind will not be in a position to absorb the nuances, the finer elements of classical music, and the desired objectives of listening to music arising from the sense of comfort and well-being cannot be achieved with that type of impaired mind. They gave expression to this thought of theirs way back on the 24th of January 1974 when they decided to start a community outreach program within this same premises of the Sabha on weekends, addressing the primary ailments which affect the poor people around this area. Little did they realize that the sapling that they had sown more than 5 decades ago will sprout like a proverbial banyan tree, bringing with its shade of influence all types of people, class and character, all bound together by a common cord called as service to the ailing humanity. In the year 2000, at the onset of the Golden Jubilee celebrations of Sabha, it was decided to upgrade the outreach program into a medical center. And it was then decided that at least 2 verticals, namely eye care and renal care, shall be the focus of the functioning of the Sabha's medical center. The dialysis center was started in the year 2000 with the first dialysis machine being donated to the Sabha by the GR of Ahobalam. And I think it was his grace and benediction that saw through the dialysis center over the years to emerge to the position that it has come to today. From 4 dialysis machines started on a very humble note, it graduated to 13 machines in the Sabha itself. And when the dream of this institution to have a standalone building for its hospital for these 2 ailments was realized on the 16th of August 2021, the dialysis center therein was expanded to a 45-bedded institution, 44 dialysis machine with an endowment machine in the name of the late Secretary of the Sabha, V.S. Amarnath Suri, becoming one of the largest dialysis centers in this part of the country and well within the ranks of the bigger ones all across the country. For the fiscal ended 31st March 2026, this center is expected to complete over 32,000 procedures, a record of sort for institutions of similar nature. Given the fact that 90% of the patients are absolutely free of cost, pay nothing to the institution, and avail of the dialysis services, not only that, a few of the consumables are also provided to them post-dialysis, and food services are also given during the period of engagement in dialysis, which spans around 3 to 4 hours. It heightens the nobility of the services that are being rendered in this field of renal care. When the Sabha decided that it should expand further, it could look at the grim reality that was obtaining on the ground. The report of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare for the year ended 31st March 2025, which is the last report on record from the Government of India, it indicates that 57.5 million people are affected by diabetes. With such a large universe of people afflicted by diabetes, India, small wonder, emerged as the diabetes capital of the world. Both diabetes and hypertension are the fastest growing diseases, profile of those diseases in this country, far more than any other ailment in the country. At the onset of the 21st century, there were marked changes in the lifestyle of Indians, trying to ape the West, both in its culture and practices, inducing therefore stress into the living of people. Small wonder, they got the companion of both hypertension and diabetes coming onto them. 35% of the people afflicted by diabetes, before that let me say that the principal cause for chronic kidney diseases leading to end-stage renal dialysis, CKD to SRD, is accentuated only by diabetes and hypertension. 35% of the patients affected by diabetic nephropathy, 100% are led to ESRD, end-stage renal dialysis. Only 10% of the patients who are in ESRD in this country have access to permanent renal replacement therapy in this country. This is the grim situation that was prevailing in the country, and therefore in the year 2016, the Government of India in its wisdom decided to launch several disease-based national missions in the name of the Prime Minister, not by personal name, in the name of generic name of the Prime Minister, and therefore the Prime Minister Yojana for several diseases came, and thus was born the Prime Minister National Dialysis Program in the year 2016. It was extended to 35 states. One state is a rebellious state of West Bengal, which will never fall in line. 7 union territories, covered across 1,702 dialysis accredited centers in 751 districts across the landscape of this country. For the year ended 31st March 2025, again the last report, the Government of India has indicated that 26.7 lakh people availed of the free dialysis scheme under the Pradhan Mantri Dialysis Yojana. 54% of the total allocation made for the Pradhan Mantri Yojana for the various diseases were all consumed only by diabetes. 2.2 lakh patients are being added every year, resulting in a requirement of 3 crore 40 lakh procedures per year, dialysis procedure per year. If you were to take the bench reference of 26.7 lakh people undergoing dialysis up to 31/3/2025, it would translate to 3 crore procedures at the end of 31/3/2025. And the grim reality is that you are adding every year 3.4 crore procedures. About 18,000 to 20,000 dialysis machines were available in the country as at 31st of March 2025. The sad commentary is even the government portal does not have authentic information. It's all derived information that comes, except the ministry's report which comes in. Less than 20,000 dialysis machines are there, whereas on the basis that one dialysis machine can at the optimum provide 1,000 dialysis procedure in a year, 34,000 machines are required every year. When the base itself is 20,000 for the existing population, the incremental addition every year of the dialysis machines themselves to treat the ailing people in ESRD is 34,000 machines. India has only around 3,000 nephrologists and less than 2,000 dialysis certified technicians in the country. On an average, one technician can oversee 3 dialysis machines in a span of 8 or 10 hours of his engagement in the hospital. This will roughly translate to 13,000 dialysis technicians who are required every year only to meet the incremental need of that year, leave alone the deficit which is there at the beginning of 2025. And hardly around 1,000 people are getting added into the stream as it is by training on the job. So this is the gap between demand and supply, and such a grim reality in the field that future patients getting into CKD and ESRD, despite this country being otherwise economically well, cannot be treated unless urgent steps are taken with such speed and alacrity machines can be brought in very easily because Fresenius and others are there to make it for you and give it to you because it is commerce for them. But to create the brand of nephrologists who go through the 4-year program after the 12th standard or the technicians who are trained on the job is a task by itself. It is this imperative need to overall improve the services that can be provided for CKD and SRD patients that prompted the Sabha to think on a very nominal basis to start a technician school so that at least our requirements and that in the neighborhood for dialysis centers can be met by us. A single classroom school is how we have started the journey today. The journey of 1,000 miles will start with the first step. And if the first step is well taken, the journey is half done. And with the support of RBL Bank, we have every reason to believe that the first step has been correctly taken because nobody is born an adult. You have to graduate from infancy to adulthood. And therefore, the experience that we'll gain from training these students will ensure that others can replicate across the country and bring down the deficit in the availability of both the nephrologists and the technicians to man the various dialysis centers which are going to come up in the country. As we launched the program today, we also triggered the drawing board of the way forward. How would you move forward? It is the intent of our Sabha to have this dialysis technician one classroom school as a full-fledged standalone building with a minimum of 500 students pursuing various courses of different durations leading to certifications, diplomas and even degree programs. The degree programs will be affiliated to a private autonomous university and for the first time a new brand of degree called as Doctor Assistant, BSc Doctor Assistant will be created halfway between a technician and a doctor. And these Doctor Assistants whom we would create in the BSc category will be mini nephrologists. Therefore, they will be able to address the emergency requirements in the dialysis center when the nephrologist is not around, taking instructions from him and implementing the directions. And they would be more prepared to understand the elements of the crisis that erupt in the center whenever a person comes fully drunk with water or a cardiac imbalance comes on to him as soon as the procedure starts. The crisis management will work because that level of expertise will come through graduate assistants, doctor assistants who will also get into this fray. So this is the expectation that we have. But when I tell you that we are going to have 500 students coming out as technicians and the gap per year is 13,000, we contribute no more than what is required for the city of Mumbai. But the whole objective is, if others can draw inspiration from the work that we are doing, and if they take a cue and find that there is an imperative necessity for this country to have more technicians, more centers, more nephrologists, then I think we would have achieved the objectives for which we have commenced this school today. And this school is starting by attracting students who otherwise would not have an opportunity to move further in their career because all that we are targeting is 12th standard, including failed students. I've given an option, I would opt for failed students, but definitely with majoring in science, because if they had not gone through science subjects in HSC, they would not fit in easily for us because the induction will be longer for them. The entire duration of this program to begin with is 6 months duration, of which 4 months will be classroom training, which will address anatomy, physiology, the body process, the functioning of the body, more importantly the renal system, the type of ailments that affect the system, the type of symptoms that you can see as the call for action to be taken, the type of medicines that can act based on the stage of evolution of the profile of the disease. In addition to this, there will be remedial education in English, because ultimately if you see, all these machines are coming from abroad, and the language and the software that has been built by them till AI has come today is all in English. So it's necessary that the transcripts are being understood well by the technicians. So a remedial education in English will also be provided to them. And much more than that, an extensive exposure to computers, because 12th standard students would not have had a great exposure to computer literacy. They would be given scientific programs on that before they are brought in after the 4th month to the dialysis center for a 2 months hands-on experience along with senior technicians in the dialysis machines. At the end of 6 months, they will get a certification, a diploma certification that is being given to them, and they will be inducted into the dialysis center based on our requirements as trainee technicians. And these trainee technicians will be guaranteed a minimum of 15,000 rupees pay to begin with, and if the performance is good, based on the outcome, they will be inducted as regular technicians in the Sabha itself at the regular pay. More than that, the ones that cannot be absorbed will be added to the pool of the reservoir of technicians available with us, who can be lent across to the various dialysis centers, corporate hospitals across the city. Based on the demand supply that I had outlined, I can tell you that every qualifying technician will get employed immediately. Even halfway through the program, they will say, the balance training we will do, come to us, because we need somebody to man our machines. So what is being done is simply not one in relation to healthcare. It promotes livelihood to a great extent, because the type of students who are being targeted are those who need support for their livelihood. More importantly, it is education. Medical education is part of education, therefore an empowerment comes along with the process of the work that is being done. And of course, healthcare is being done. If all these three essential elements of national progress are addressed in one single mission, I am sure it will merit the appeal of us to anyone. And strangely as it may appear, I had not gone and met him for the first time asking for any support for dialysis. Halfway through, he said, our CSR policy is essentially on livelihood, skills, healthcare and education. I said, would you like to hear one program which covers all of them? And when I said this, I knew that I don't have to ask him for support. That support will follow. And that's how, thanks to the bank seeing merit in what we are doing, it has seen the light of the day. Strange as it may appear, but it is not a fiction, but it is a fact, that CKD and ESRD are most prevalent in Southeast Asian countries. The greatest stress factors are Europe and America, but ESRD and CKD are more prevalent in Southeast Asia. With 3,806 ESRD patients per 10 million population, Taiwan is at the top of the ladder, followed by Korea, then Japan. India is only 220 people per 10 million population, at the bottom of the pit. But then, if action is not being taken on the ground to correct the distortions which are obtaining in the rapid flow of both hypertension and diabetes coming in, sooner or later India will also get that coveted position of the ESRD capital of the world as a companion to the diabetes capital that we have. There comes a time in the history of the world when the voice of a nation, mutilated, silenced, submerged, and subterfuge, breaks out and is heard loud and clear in the corridors of powers of the most important institutions of the world. And that voice is that of India. Nations of the world have woken up to the new wave of optimism that is coming from this Southeast Asian country, including it has put pain and consternation in the minds of the developed nations as to what they are seeing in the country suddenly happening. It is not because of the economic revival or the growth of this nation. Of course, in terms of GDP parameters, we are one of the fastest growing macroeconomies in the world. The fifth largest, and I think by the turn of 2 more years from now will be the third largest, next to America and China. But much more than that is the evolution of a civilization which was in deep slumber till the other day. It is the awakening of this civilization the new degree of confidence that has got into an Indian mind. If 1 out of 7 people walking on this earth were to have confidence in them, the world will have confidence. And 1 out of 7 is this Indian population of 14%. And this new resurgence which has come into this country because of this awakening from this civilization marks a new chapter in the history of this nation itself. The government of the day had announced its dream, mirroring the aspirations of the people of the land, Viksit Bharat, the one to be achieved by 2047, when India will be celebrating the centenary of its independence, a century of bliss. And the government of the day has envisaged that India will become one of the dominant economic powerhouses of the world. Far more than that, she will regain the pristine and exalted position of Vishwaguru, that position that she enjoyed till the 18th century. It's time, my countrymen, to gird up our loins, shirk the inertia that envelops us most of the time, and move forward with confidence and determination in the path leading to the realization of this dream of this country. Otherwise, like several other dreams, it will remain a wishful dream. It's people and people alone who can make the difference. And India has to realize its dreams. It will not only be in economic terms, it will be in the health of the nation. The health of the nation from the fact that we are a nation which are claiming demographic dividend. More than 65 crore people are below the age of 35. Such a reservoir of youthful energy nowhere in the world is available at the scale of a nation that we are in. But if the health of this younger generation is not taken care, the very same demographic dividend that we are talking about will become a demographic disaster. And then the dreams will remain only pipe dreams. We are beholden to R. Subramania Kumar, Managing Director CEO of RBL Bank Limited, for his gracious presence this morning, having inaugurated the Dialysis Technician Training School and presiding over this launch function, announcing the arrival of a school for this specially skill-enhanced program. We are grateful to them for the confidence that they have reposed in us. It is one shot to give a CSR grant, because sometimes people seeking are far more intelligent to know how to draw from the people who are giving. But the confidence that they have in the ability of this institution to translate all its stated intentions into action had led them to lend their name to the school. Nobody lent their name to anything else. Names are far more precious than the little money that you can give. So it is this confidence that this institution has taken to lend its name to the Sabha's this thing. And I'm sure by the scale of operations, both the quality and the quantity of the services that we shall render, they shall ever be proud of their association with the Sabha. On our part, we shall ensure that we shall strain every sinew to be worthy of that confidence that they have reposed in us. As I come to the end of my address this morning, may we all be blessed to be partners in progress in realizing the dream of this great nation of ours. May we all incorporate into our lives through passage of time, in our eternal quest in this pilgrimage of perfection, a little of the selflessness, sacrifice and seva that is the hallmark of the life of a healthcare worker, and then make our life sublime. Thank you and God bless.